recording this starting now. So if anyone needs to go back and watch, you can do that. Or if you have to get off the call and then get back on, that's totally fine too. At any point, if you cannot hear me, please let me know. I'll be talking, Skylar will be talking. We have Rayanne on the call too, because the elections committee for state team council will be the ones who are ensuring that we are all following the rules and that no one is not following the rules. So they will be talking through this. They'll be talking through all the rules. Then we will also give you an opportunity to ask any questions that you have to make sure that we're all on the same page. I first want to say thank you so much for investing in Kentucky 4-H. I also want to say congratulations. It's a huge honor. And as you all know, it was a very tough competition, and you all really did an outstanding job at slating, and I'm so proud to work with each of you, and I'm also very excited to see where we are going next with our state officers. So if you are not on mute, if you could put your phone on mute unless you need to ask a question, and then unmute yourself so then you can so we can make sure that the speaker is the one who is being heard. Perfect, thank you. Okay, so one thing I want to go over before I turn the call over to Skylar to go over the roles is that you are now at the highest level of leadership with Kentucky 4-H. So when I communicate with you, when you communicate with me, I expect to communicate with you. As you all know, with State Team Council, I have high expectations for our members, and you all are the leaders. I don't believe that we have a irresponsible group. I think you all are the top-notch leaders of Kentucky 4-H, and I'm excited to see that. With that being said, I respect agents. I love you. I respect you as we get our 4-Hers to where they need to go. I also ask you, allow them the freedom to be the leaders that we know that they can be. Parents, we love you and we respect you and we value you, but also remember that this is the opportunity where your kid has worked so hard to get here, and it's their opportunity to shine. So make sure that adults and parents were allowing our youth to do that and letting them take the reins of their leadership experience at this point. So with all this information, you all will be held accountable for it from now moving forward, and I really hope that this is a great process for everyone, and that it is also a learning experience as well, because that is extremely important to me too, that you know, it is inevitable. I wish I could have every single one of you next year with me, but unfortunately that's just not how it's going to happen. And so I'm excited to learn with you all through the slating process. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Skylar to go over all of the roles and clarify anything. And if you all have anything that you need to clarify, please unmute your mic or type it in the chat box. We have some people on the phone, so if you wanted to just kind of chime in, that would be great too. So I'm going to turn it over to Skylar, and I'm going to mute myself.
Okay, there is 17 rules that we have established on the elections committee, and if you needed me to repeat one, if I talk too fast, just unmute and tell me. I can't see the chat box. The app wouldn't download, so just unmute and say repeat that. But all candidates are asked to attend the state 4-H team council meeting the weekend before the conference. They should plan on attending the entire event and will need to plan accordingly. Please review the campaign rules below, and the consequences for violations are listed under each one. I believe each of you should have got the campaign rules on an email or something, so if you have those, you can follow along. But the first rule is no campaigning of any kind or for officer candidates, including any printed or written materials, can be done before the scheduled time on Monday of Kentucky 4-H team conference. This rule also applies to time between slating of candidates by nominating committee and the 4-H conference. Announcements of your office can be made. However, you cannot ask anyone to vote for you specifically or pass out any campaign materials, which to my knowledge, none of you have done that, so kudos to you. The second rule is campaign budget is limited to $100 per candidate.
Sorry.
Yes.
I want to go back to rule number 1. Rule number 1, there is some notes on that. Can you go over those notes just so we're all on the same page?
Oh, yes. The consequences for violating rule number 1 is immediate dismissal from the race. And announcement of your office may be put on social media, but you must send a preview post to the Elections Committee Chair for review before you're allowed to make the post public. Some of you have done that, but I have not seen anybody else's other than Dylan and Luke. So I don't know if anybody else has made that public. And if you have not, you did not send that to me. So you might want to delete it before I say it. But that was one of the requirements before posting your campaign. Yes. If there's no other questions on that, we'll move on to the second one.
I did have a question, and I don't know if he talked to you or not, but the initial congratulations that went out, we asked that no one's sharing that now because it's 48 hours after. So if you want to individually share something, you need to talk to Skylar about that. So that just to clarify that. Yeah.
As long as, the picture, it doesn't really matter. As long as you send me a preview of what you're going to caption it, that should be fine. Just, go over and make sure nothing is hinting around at, voting for me or, something like that, because this is going to be stiff competition. So we want to keep it 4-Hable. But as I was saying with rule number 2, your campaign budget is limited to $100 per candidate. This includes the value of purchased and donated items. The use of extension office supplies should be included as donated items. Extension office equipment may be used, and items not recorded will not be allowed. So, like, examples would be ink for the printer, paper used to print the material, markers, and other writing utensils, and etc. It has to be accounted for. There has to be a price for everything you use. Even if it is donated to you, it has to have an estimated amount, and it has to be a correct estimated amount. So if somebody donates you a wooden easel, you can't have it on there for, say, $1. You'll have to have it on there for the correct price it would be if you had bought it out of pocket.
Speaking of easels, Skylar, everyone will get a easel from me. They will get 2 easels from me from the state office.
Should that be included in our
No,
cost?
you do not have to include that.
And how much should be a lot for printer ink?
In the past, Skylar, if it's okay if I answer this, unless you want to.
Yes, it's fine.
Okay. In the past, what people have done is they've gotten a quote from a printer shop for what it might be to print something, and then they've used that cost in printing. Does that make sense? So like FedEx or Office Depot or something, get a quote, and if you use your extension office, then you can use that.
Thank you.
I have a question really quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Jonna Skylar, by the way.
Okay.
So when it says that all of our items purchased, obviously, and donated must be included out of our $100. So let's say so far we've spent, like, for example, $40, and then someone donates something that's maybe worth like $18. So out of that 100 total, we've used 58 of that dollars, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I have a question, Rachel.
Yes.
Do we need to include shipping in our $100?
If you're going to ship something, then yes.
Okay.
As a maybe a point of information that might be good for you all is there are county packs that come to campus, so work with your extension agent to get those. County agents, do they still send those county packs? County or campus mail? Any county agents on here that know the answer to that?
Yes, Rachel, they do still send those.
Okay, so can you all send something from the office?
No.
No, it goes from Lexington out, not from us back to Lexington.
Okay, so yeah, if you plan on shipping something, Dylan, yes.
Well, not necessarily to Lexington. Like if I bought something off Amazon, would I need to also include the shipping from Amazon to me?
Technically, yes.
Okay.
I have one more question. Let's say, for example, like Matahea used a pack of cards. Let's say she only used half of those pack of cards. Can she only charge half a deck of cards?
Yes.
Thank you.
So if you don't use all of your printed material and for the price sake, and you buy a pack of paper, but you only use exactly half, or say a fourth, you're going to take a fourth of the price and list it below on your campaign list of your items that you bought. So it's mathematical too. Is there any more questions with the budget? Okay. Moving on to the third rule. All campaign materials must be turned in at orientation for the candidates on Sunday before Kentucky 4-H-10 conference, along with completed expense form and all receipts. If there are items for which there are not receipts, they cannot be used. Donated items must be accounted for with a fair estimate of their value, and a written receipt is expected from the donor. Is there any questions with that kind of correlated with the two?
Tyler, I have a question.
Yes.
Or just like a point of clarification. So no matter what it is, donated or purchased, it should always have a receipt. And so the ones that are donated, just the donor needs to write out the estimated cost along with who it was from and, things like that, the exact item that was donated.
Yes. There has to be a receipt for everything that is used.
Okay.
Just for so we know what's being used by each candidate. It makes it a lot easier if we have receipts for everything showing what they're using. If there's no other questions on that one, we'll move to rule number 4. You're allowed to have 5 posters no larger than a standard size poster board, which is 22 inches by 28, and 50 signs no smaller than a 5x7 piece of paper or picture paper, and no larger than an average size piece of paper, which is 8.5 by 11 inches. No paper items are allowed. No other paper items are allowed, I'm sorry. Only masking tape may be used in the hanging of all campaign materials. Posters and signs should be professional looking and well thought out. So it's just, the standard that largest you can get with your 50 small signs is no larger than a piece of printer paper and no smaller than a 5x7. Is there any questions with this one?
Yeah. For the easels, if we have like 5 poster boards and then we get 2 easels, but like for the other 3, what do we do if we like rent an easel?
You would include that price.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have one, I guess, point of clarification too. So with only masking tape is allowed. So we obviously have to purchase masking tape. So that is something else that needs to be put down, even though it's not directly like a sign or a campaign material for us to pass out. That should still be included, correct?
If you intend on hanging anything, like the 50 small posters, if you intend on hanging those in the dorm area, you will need to include the masking tape, yes. But if you do not intend on hanging them, then you do not have to get the masking tape.
Okay.
Also, on a point of clarification, I know last year Debbie Myers had the little pennants, the little flag things, and people were questioning those, but they were no bigger. She chose to use some of her 8.5 by 11 inches between those two sizes for that, so it fit into the rolls. So, I mean, you can think outside the box if, between the two, if it fits.
Yeah, it just has to fit in that size range. It doesn't have to be specifically a 5x7 or a piece of printer paper. It can be any size in between those. So,
for the hanging of signs, aren't we only supposed to hang it on the clips in the dorms?
last year that was one of the set rules, but there were so many people hanging signs in the dorm areas that they ran out of room, and so many people used all of the clips that we made it we made it masking tape so it wouldn't leave a sticky residue behind, so you are able to hang on the wall.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. There's no other questions on that one. We'll move on to the next one. Rule number 5 is campaign items should be selected with the goal of minimizing trash and potential abuses of the property. If you have any questions about your campaign items, you can contact the elections committee or state office. The items that are absolutely not allowed for campaigning are food items, adhesive items like stickers or anything like that. Individual paper items, paper has to be attached to a permissible, if securely. Paper items attached is permissible if securely attached to an object. Like last year, Brandon Darby, he handed out little rose bracelets, but he had a piece of paper attached to it saying his campaign slogan. So that is allowed as long as it's attached to something. It just can't be a piece of paper just handed out. And you cannot have any campaign pins or pins of any sort, just because poking and sticking and stabbing kind of a hazard. And consequences of breaking rules number 2, 3, 4, or 5. If the candidate is over budget, then he or she must decide which items to destroy. If there is no receipt for any items, the material cannot be used. If other paper items are used, there will be a warning to the candidate. Any repeat offenses will bring dismissal. All items should be checked at the scheduled orientation meeting, so there should be no others used. Is there any questions with this one?
I have a point of information. You will, there's a scheduled time for you all to present your items as well as your speech. So make sure you look at the State Team Council agenda. Leslie, I will send that to you. Make sure you look at your State Team Council agenda because there will be a specific time that you will get to present your materials to Skylar and her committee, and also present your speech to myself, Karen, and Patrick. So be prepared to present that on the weekend.
If there is no other discussion on this, I'm going to move on to Rule 6. No items should be hung on windows in the rooms or on glass doors or windows. No items may be hung on the walls of the door buildings, which that should have been marked out. I'm sorry for that. You can hang items as long as it's with the masking tape. So point of clarification on that. It should be hung with masking tape if it's on the walls, but it can only be in the dorm area, like where the doors are at, where you go in each room, the walls on that. The sitting area is kind of a more professional. If it's the dorms that Rachel, is it the dorms that we stayed in last year, or are they different? Is it a different setup?
It's a different setup. There are 5 floors. This is Woodland Glen 3. So there's going to be a ton of rooms all in the same building. There are different wings. There's A, B, C. There are different floors with wings. So I don't remember the total there are like 800 spots for people. So there's going to be plenty of room for you all to campaign.
Yeah. So just make sure that your posters, if you're hanging them with masking tape, just hang them where the doors and the hallways are at, not in the lobby of the room, the building. If that makes anything clear, that should have been taken care of, but it wasn't. I'm sorry about that. So you can just scratch that. Your signs can be hung in the hallways with masking tape.
Unless we're told otherwise once we get there. But it was permissible last year, so I will double check, and if there's a change, then I'll let everyone know.
Yeah, and then we'll figure something out for the hanging of your signs, something that they'll allow. We'll work all that out if they won't allow that. So just keep on your toes for that one. And the consequence for that, if your posters are hung up anywhere other than the hallway, the dorm, that is the dismissal. They can't be hung out on the outside of buildings. They have to be on the inside of the building.
For the poster boards, like with the easels, can those be in the lobby or no?
Yes, those can be in the lobby.
Okay, thank you.
If there's no other questions with rule number 6, we'll move on to 7. All candidates are responsible for the actions of their county or district delegates as well as those of any campaign committee's actions or individuals acting in your behalf. Remember, this is your race, and you pay the consequences for their actions. Oh, sorry, my computer messed up. All campaigning, including materials, speeches, presentations, etc., should be in good taste, professional, and present a positive image of yourself, others, and the 4-H program. Consequence may be one warning or may be dismissed from race, depending on the infraction. So if people, to clarify this rule a little bit better, if people from your county are campaigning for you before the scheduled time is to start campaigning, that falls back on you. So it won't be, they will not receive the consequence, you will. So you just have to make sure you tell your county, the delegates coming with you, that they cannot campaign of any sort for you or help you in any way until after the allotted time.
This does not mean that you're making plans at 5. You can have a whole game plan, as you all have seen before, have a whole game plan of what you're going to do and do it. That doesn't mean that you have to wait until that time. So
yeah,
be smart in that, okay?
Is there any questions about that one? Anybody have any questions? Okay. Moving on to 8. No campaign materials may be used away from the dorm area. I know last year they had they was handed them out in the 90 during lunch. Is that still permissible, Rachel? I know they did it last year.
You can't, okay, so you can hand out stuff, but you can't have your posters and stuff in the 90. And then you also need to make sure that you all are very aware of picking up stuff. So having your campaign committee or your campaign manager or whatever you've decided to do, make sure that they do a sweep, that there's no stuff left behind of yours after the meal time.
Okay. I know they handed out stuff last year. I didn't know if that was with the signs too.
Just,
but if there's,
yeah, you can hand out stuff in the 90, but you cannot put any signs or anything like that.
The consequence for this rule is one warning and then dismissal. So just no posters or campaign signs, just your little knickknacks that you're handing out. If there's no other questions for number 8, I'm going to move on to 9. So your speeches are going to be given on Tuesday afternoon. They're limited to 3 minutes. You have to time your speech carefully before you deliver it. 2 official timekeepers will be appointed, and they'll be like in the front row usually of the stage. One will stand and let you know that you have 30 seconds remaining. Then they'll both stand to let you know your time is up. There will be one question asked after your speech. You'll have up to 1 minute to answer this question. You'll need to submit and present a copy of your speech to Rachel Noble on Saturday. Whichever time that we can fit that into Saturday, that's whenever you guys will present your speech to her. Is there any questions with this one?
There's a scheduled time. Sorry, Skylar, there is a scheduled time that you all are gonna do your speeches. So that is candidate campaign materials reviewed at 4 o'clock on Saturday, and then at 8 o'clock, while scrapbooking is happening and the committee chair meeting, we'll be pulling people, all the candidates, to do their speech in front of the advisors. So we'll pull you one by one.
I have a question.
Yes.
So the on-stage question that we have like a minute to answer, we're not going to receive any like sample questions regarding that, correct?
Correct.
It'll just be, okay.
Additionally, make sure you all look at your team conference schedule for the start of election time or campaigning time, because we won't give you any warnings. You all will just, when it hits that time, then you will go by cell phone time, the universal clock.
If there's no discussion with number 9, I'm going to move on to 10. Okay. So all campaign materials must be cleaned up, and all campaigning must cease by the time voting booths open on Wednesday morning. So you have Monday evening and all day Tuesday to campaign and hand out your stuff. Is there any questions?
You said all day Monday and Tuesday evening?
No, Monday evening and all day Tuesday.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So moving on to 11. The complaint procedure can be initiated upon request. The Elections Committee oversees the campaigning and election and will watch for any violations or wrongdoing. If others see or know about any violations or wrongdoing, they should report it to the Elections Committee. You all will meet the Elections Committee, so whenever we go to team conference, so you'll know if you see another candidate, violating one of these rules, you should come and tell us, and then we will take care of it with Rachel and the advisors, just to keep the race clean. Is there any questions?
To go back to Jana's remark, I just want to make sure everyone's on the same page. The campaigning for 4-H officer begins at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. on June 11th. And then by Wednesday at 12 o'clock, you all need to make sure that everything is cleaned up, because voting starts directly after that. 12 o'clock on Wednesday, June 13th, Eastern Standard Time. Additionally, I know in the past there's been tradition that the candidates don't go to the Wednesday evening workshops. This year's that is different. Everyone has been assigned to something, so it's an even playing field for everybody. You all will have what is it? Dinner together, Skylar?
Excuse me, I'm sorry, it cut out.
You all will have dinner together. Is that correct, Skylar?
I do believe so.
On the Wednesday evening, that gives you all time to be together and hang out. So how that's going to look is you're going to go to your fun shop. After your fun shop, you're going to go directly to, you all will meet in Woodland Glen 3. You'll more than likely be in one of the study rooms downstairs for dinner. And then you all will be together, and you can get ready and get dressed for the evening before the fashion review.
Yes.
Miss Rachel, I have a question. So since I'm a narrator for the fashion review, do I maybe need to arrive at Memorial Hall earlier than maybe other candidates, or will we all go over at the same time?
That's a good question. You need to talk to Marjorie about that, what she wants you to do as an officer candidate, because your schedule is a little bit different than the rest of the conference. So make sure that you talk to Marjorie, okay?
Okay.
Hey, Rachel and Skylar, I also have another question. So during the lunch on Wednesday, I know that in the past there was a lunch thing upstairs that we had to go to because you didn't want the candidates there with everybody during lunch. So how's that going to work out?
You're correct. Yes, there is no linger lunch this year during lunch on Wednesday. So you all can, they've only budgeted for one meal. So Skylar, your committee needs to decide if they are going to be together for lunch or dinner on that day. And then the other day you all can get your dinner and eat together in the 90, or lunch and eat together in the 90, one or the other.
Okay, I can talk to the committee and let you all know whenever we meet at King Conference that weekend. Is that too late to let them know, Rachel, or?
No, because you all are either going to eat whether you're together or not. So on Wednesday for lunch, the committee will either have you lunch or you all will eat together for lunch. Okay, so just prepare yourself for that, and you all can sit all together. Then for dinner, you'll be together. They'll either get you dinner or you'll sit together for dinner. Okay, so just be prepared to share both your lunch and dinner meals together on Wednesday. Does that make sense? Yes, good. Yay, okay.
Okay, if there's no other discussion, we're going to move on to rule number 12. All involved are expected to follow the rules. Actions will be taken against those candidates who choose not to follow the rules or have people acting on their behalf who do not follow the rules. You know, you're responsible for everybody acting on your behalf. That's really what's all that's saying. That's the questions for number 12. We're going to move to 13. You can't use anything to amplify your voice, such as megaphone, bullhorn, etc. Your consequence will be one warning and then dismissal. Is there any questions with rule number 13? Okay, moving on. A brief review and orientation will be scheduled the weekend during the June State Teen Council meeting. 2 to 3 campaign helpers should be selected at this meeting to assist you to communicating the rules to your county and district. So before you come, you guys will probably all meet. Just let your county know or your committee delegation know the rules set, how they cannot campaign before 5 o'clock on Monday and not after 12 on Wednesday.
Skylar, can you repeat that? I'm looking at the campaign rules right now that I got sent on my email, and I didn't see that. Could you repeat that?
Yes. It should be rule number 14.
Okay.
I think that, no, it's number 14 on the one that I'm looking at is voting machines. Is that what you have, Jonna?
Yes, that's what I'm looking at.
Oh. This may have not saved correctly. I apologize. We'll just skip out of that one then. I'm sorry.
Well, I think so. It was changed to this call is going to go over all the rules, and then you need to educate those people out in your community that you're choosing to be your campaign people. So do that education before you come to meeting on that Saturday. So that was just changed a little bit, that you all are getting orientated now, then educate your committee members, and then you will meet with the election committee by yourself on that Saturday.
Okay.
Sorry for all the confusion. So moving on to the next one, since my numbers are out of order. Typical. The next one on my list is voting machine results are final. There are no recounts, and the vote count will not be released. So we won't know how many each person got, what number each person, their vote tally was. In the event of a tie, the state 4-H president will cast the deciding vote. A tie will not be announced to the conference delegates or the officer candidate. So nobody will know but the 4-H state president, which is Deborah Myers. So she'll be the only one to know if there's a tie. The last rule on my list is these rules will be viewed at orientation for applicants interviewing to be selected candidates for the state office. That really, as long as you signed it, just sign it saying, you know, that rule didn't really need to be read. I'm sorry. But is there any questions over any?
There are two pieces there are two pieces of information on this updated one. The candidates, you may select individuals to serve on your team and a campaign manager if you choose so. You don't have to have it, but you can have it if you'd like it. None of the election committees, so Skylar, Sydney, or Rayanne, or current officers are permitted to wear any campaign material of any candidates, privately or publicly. So that's a hard rule just because we want them to be unbiased and fair. No current officers are allowed to campaign for you or wear your materials, and none of the election committee.
I have a question real quick. Sorry. So we can have people on our campaign team that are not on state team. Okay. All right. That's what I thought. I just wanted to double check.
It can be anybody. Anybody can be on your campaign delegation, just other than who Rachel said, which was officers now and the elections committee. We're the only ones not allowed to be any part of your campaign.
And I'll tell you all on this call, spreading out your resources and your network, that's going to be the best. So think about how politicians run campaigns. We're going to be nicer than most politicians, though. Remember, we're going to be 4-H appropriate. But remember, like, this is a time that you're marketing yourself. So really spread out and talk to new people. This is going to be a great opportunity for you to learn a lot of life skills. Additionally, after this, I've already sent you the confirmation link for confirming that you took the orientation. So make sure that you see that confirmation link, you click it, and you report that you have listened in on the call, because I will make sure that you all have done that. And tomorrow I'll send out the link for the call from the recording. And then also I'll send the verification link again if you are kind of confused at where it is right now. On that last page, Skylar, do you have any other comments?
Not right now, no. As long as everybody's good, I'm good.
Awesome. On that last page, you do have to sign, your parent or guardian needs to sign, and then also your 4-H agent needs to sign. Those who have 4-H agent parents, they'll sign twice since they're wearing two hats. Then also there is a template for your campaign expenses, so you can see on there an example. You'll list the item, you'll list the purpose of the item, and you'll list the price. And this type of, you don't have to, I'm assuming you all are going to have more things than what's on this little list, but as an example of what you will be required to turn in at that meeting on the State Teen Council weekend.
And I just want to put a warning out there. This $100, you're really going to learn how to budget yourself. You can ask the officers from last year, and all of them, most of them said it was really hard to budget within that $100. But it's also a really good learning experience, and that's why we set it there. So really watch yourself on what you spend, because $100 goes really quick. And that's just a tip on that rule.
And also, and I'm sure all the adults on the call can also say that you can make the prettiest posters and the nicest handouts, but it really comes down to you talking to people. So make sure that that you all keep that in mind, that what our purpose is. Our purpose is to get to know new 4-Hers and market ourselves and our experience. It's not necessarily spending the most money. And historically, I can speak to this, and some of the agents on the call probably can remember too, candidates in the past, way before, probably when you all were really super little, there are candidates who spent a lot of money, and it wasn't a proper use of funds. So that's where all those rules came from. So you can thank the past.
For the signature paper, we just bring that to the June meeting, correct?
Yes. Are there any questions? Any agents or adults on the call that have any questions? No? Any candidates? Do you have any questions? Please make sure you remember that Skylar is your point of contact for this. She is the lady in charge for the campaigning. Ah, Kim, hi.
Hi, I have a question.
Yes.
So do they name their campaign committee members?
They do not have to, no.
Okay, so random kid, not a committee member, starts campaigning before it's time.
Well, if you're going to hand out materials, you all need to know who you're handing them out to, because you will be held accountable for that.
Okay, but if they're just talking, that's okay.
Yeah, I mean,
anything out.
Yeah, as long as you all are not, running up and down the 90 screaming vote for me, I'm pretty sure that you're going to be okay. I would highly suggest not giving any materials to hand out to random people.
Right.
I think that's probably, I would say that would be the answer to your question.
Perfect. Thank you.
Last year, I was on a campaign delegation for Presley Woodrum, and what she done is about 15 minutes before 5 o'clock, she had about 5 of us that were her point of contacts that would go throughout her county and hand out stuff for them to hand out. So that could make it easier if you wanted to appoint 5 people or however many to be your top go-to people to help you set up stuff, and then they hand out materials after 5 o'clock to other kids in your county or on the delegation to hand out. That clears anything.
Any other questions?
Rachel, this isn't really a question, but more of a piece of advice for us officer candidates.
Yeah.
So go in with the mindset of being humble, and don't think that you have it set in stone. Just also have a good time at conference. Don't let it ruin conference if you lose. Just keep that in mind. So yeah, good luck to everybody.
Thank you, Laura. You all are going to have a lot of opportunities to be together. This is going to be a great opportunity for you. I'm very excited. Like I said, I wish that I could have 8 officers and I would choose every single one of you, but that's just not how it's going to be. If you all do have questions, comments, concerns, please reach out to Skylar if it's something for clarification, for rules. I will defer to Skylar because she is the elections committee chair and the state team council operates this. One of the districts is in charge of the voting booths. So I will be the only one who gets the results. So, and that district contact. So I'm not the only one who sees them. I think that's everything, but there will be agents who are manning the booths at all times. And don't forget, if you are in your delegation at well, you are part of the delegation. So if you choose to be the voting member or your county elects you to be the voting member or whatever, that's okay too. Remember that that's okay. So we didn't cover that, but remember there's going to be 2 voting members from each county that are allowed to vote and on the officer candidates. And if your county chooses you as the officer or as the candidate to vote, that's okay. Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Nope. Okay. Wonderful. Like I said, let us know if you have questions. Make sure you fill out the verification link. Also, I'll have this recorded and posted tomorrow, so you all will have it. And I'm proud of you. Remember, this is a learning opportunity, and soak up every single moment that you can. Thank you all.